Tip number one is about nailing the back of the cabinets. You may think that this is not very important, but trust me, it is, because if you do it wrong and the nail comes on the inside of the cabinet because it's pointing inwards, you cannot redo that. You will most likely have a piece of the white surface on the cabinet chipping off, and gluing that back together is possible, but you will always be able to see it. And if it's a wall cabinet, right there at eye level, when you open the door, you see that line from where you have tried to glue that little chip back. It's really unfortunate because there is no easy fix. The good thing is that it's really easy to avoid that the nail will end up in the cabinet. And you do that by, as you can see in the picture, that you lean the nail a little bit inwards, meaning that if it should poke through, it will definitely not come through on the inside of the cabinet, because a nail is more likely to go in a straight line, and as you can see, the straight line from this nail, there's no way it can end up on the inside of the cabinet. So place that nail on that line on the back of the side wall of the cabinet, maybe even a little bit on the inside of it. So when you put in the nail and it's leaning back a bit, it will not end up coming through on the inside of the cabinet. And tip number two, we're staying in the nailing department, because what do you do if you start the nail wrong? It could be in the wrong direction, but it could also be that when you give it a few taps that the nail actually bends. And there's one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to continue on that path you have started already, because if it is pointing inwards or if it's bending a bit, you do not know where that nail will end up. And as I said in tip number one, you don't want that nail to be on the inside of the cabinet. So what you really want to do is you want to pull out the nail and you want to redo it. If the nail is just a tiny bit bent, throw it out. Don't try to straighten it out or try to think that, oh, it'll probably be fine, because maybe it will not. And you don't want that nail to be the determining factor whether this cabinet is looking good or not. So throw out the nail and start again. And when I say start again, you start in a new position. You don't reuse that hole that was on the path to nowhere. You want to just put it next to the hole that you have already, and then you will just do it again. Tip number three is just a reminder to put the lower hinge on the 47-inch corner cabinet if you have a Lazy Susan sitting in that cabinet. Because if you put on the bracket for the Lazy Susan before you put on the hinge, you'll have to take it off again. Otherwise, there won't be room to install that hinge. So do it in the right order, and you only have to do it once. Some of the deco strips that we're using for railings under the cabinets comes with brackets, as you see in the picture. And if you don't give those brackets a small bend outwards, meaning that you are opening the angle to a bit more than 90 degrees, it will not sit nice when you install them under the wall cabinets. So bend them about 1/8 of an inch at the top outwards when you have mounted the bracket on the deco strip. So when you take the deco strip and you hold it up under the upper cabinet and secure it in place with a few clamps, and you have put in the screws up into the cabinets, the deco strip will be sitting exactly like you want it to. If you don't bend that bracket a little bit first, it will be pointing inwards at the lower end of the deco strip, and you won't like that look. So do that, and it will look really nice. When I am assembling cabinets, I always use my work table. But as you can see in the picture, my work table is not that big. It is in fact only 24 by 30 inches. So what I sometimes do, if it's possible, I take one of the bigger cabinets, like in this case, this is a 40 by 36 inch wall cabinet, and I place it on top of my work table, and that will expand my working area quite a bit. Of course, you can only do that if you have such a cabinet to use, and you can only do that until you have to install that cabinet itself. But if you plan your work, you might be able to put up that cabinet or assemble that cabinet as the very last one. So go through your pile of cabinets and see if you have anything that can expand your work table if your work table is not very big.